All right, everybody, what's going on? We got a juicy topic to talk about today. Yeah, that's what she said. But anyway, so I was originally going to talk about something else for this video, but oh no, once looking at Charlie Intel and the new article that they posted, it really, I couldn't help myself. It was like an itch that I absolutely had to scratch, and it also led to another interesting question that I would really want your feedback on as well, because after all, we are the Call of Duty community, are we not? And maybe there's more of us in the community, and what I mean by us is the hardcore community, like the hardcore players, the ones that are passionate. And I'm going to make a separate video about that one of these days, so that way you guys will know more what I'm talking about. But we got something different and something a lot more interesting for the time being, which makes a lot of sense, by the way, in this article. So I'm going to read this Charlie Intel article for you guys, and it's not long, so bear with me here. So the title of the article itself is Michael Condrey claims Activision dictates matchmaking system in Call of Duty games. So it says, Michael Condrey has claimed on the debate regarding skill-based matchmaking in Call of Duty games, amongst other topics. A user tweeted at Condrey linking our article on Nadeshot's comments regarding why skill-based matchmaking is used in Call of Duty games and there's no ranked play. So Twitter user said to ask at Michael Condrey why skill-based matchmaking is terrible when he had it in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare in 2014, when sparked a major debate in the Call of Duty community on matchmaking during those days. Sledgehammer Games went as far as to comment on it by saying their games are ping-focused first, but data showed skill-based matchmaking was strong. In a reply to the comment, Condrey says, asked Activision, never directed into Call of Duty from me, claiming the entire matchmaking system is handled by the Activision production team. He also said that microtransactions, dedicated server coverage, and all are handled by Activision only. So basically his tweet reads, asked Activision, never directed into COD from me, analytics, skill-based matchmaking, monetization, dedicated server coverage, etc., all driven from Activision central tech and production teams. Frustratingly little influence on those corporate decisions despite their impact on our games and the Call of Duty community. And the article concludes here. He says that devs have frustratingly little influence on those decisions and they could not control the changes despite the Call of Duty community feedback on those issues. Skill-based matchmaking has been a big topic of conversation in Call of Duty community this year with Modern Warfare, as many users believe the game has higher skill-based matchmaking compared to previous Call of Duty titles. Condrey has left Sledgehammer Games in 2018 and has since started a new studio for 2K Games in Silicon Valley. Now, first and foremost, because this is in pubs and because it's an Activision algorithm, and that is 100% Activision. I was actually talking about the subject of skill-based matching with my BFF, my best friend forever, and he basically said that that's basically Call of Duty in their algorithm. And furthermore, thanks to this article, it's Activision, which just showed just how much of a genius and just how smart my best friend actually is. He actually is very smart. I mean, he's the kind of person that does the fanciest math in the world and doesn't even need to show his work, because he just knows he's right. He knows it just makes sense to him, and showing the work is just a nuisance and it just wastes time and it's really annoying. So props to him, man. I couldn't do that shit to save my life, which goes to show what a dumbass I am. And he's also a very logical person. And he said, and we were talking about skill-based matchmaking and everything like that. So, and in one of my previous videos, I mentioned that real skill-based matchmaking, real skill-based matchmaking is actually not in Call of Duty pubs, because skill-based matchmaking would actually even out the teams, and I don't mean team balancing. Skill-based matchmaking would actually even out the teams in terms of skill. So if there's 6 people in the lobby that are really good players, they'd be split even, 3 and 3. Or there would be something that takes into account just the win-loss and all the stuff that truly matters in a truly competitive environment, as opposed to KD ratio, win-loss, accuracy, and all those other things. I'm sure it's somewhat the same. I'm sure the algorithm and the formula is somewhat the same in true skill-based matchmaking, like you have in ranked play, in like Black Ops 2 ranked play or whatnot, just to give an example, or in Halo ranked play or whatnot, right? That's true skill-based matchmaking, because that's just how it works, and the ranking system is its own kind of thing. But when you put all the different aspects into what happens in pubs into a specialized algorithm that's meant to protect noob players, that basically makes the solo player suffer the most, that's a whole different algorithm. That's why I don't call it skill-based matchmaking anymore, because it's not real skill-based matchmaking. It's an Activision Call of Duty algorithm that's just really toxic in the community, that does not need to be there. I was not held by the hand back in those days when I got better at Call of Duty, which was around the Black Ops 2 days. I wasn't held by the hand, and as a matter of fact, the fact that the lobbies were a lot like the fact that back then that the algorithm was a lot less strict than what it is today, allowed me to actually improve and allowed me to make changes to my to everything I needed to do to get better. So with that being said, Call of Duty, I know, is not really it's a competitive game, there's no doubt about it, but this algorithm really ruins the experience. So now this leads into another question, really another question here, because I know throughout this channel, throughout the Modern Warfare life cycle, I have roasted Joe Seacott again and again and again. I mean, I even call him Joe Seacock at this point, right? Because, or should I say, maybe until this point, because obviously, ever since the IGN interview and them talking about how they designed the game to basically have safe spaces for noobs and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, okay. Now here's the thing, what if Activision was actually influencing a lot more than just the skill-based matchmaking? Think about that for a second, because these guys ultimately pay the bills, right? These guys obviously ultimately pay the developers. And it's not just in Call of Duty and in Activision that this thing takes place either. There's more to it than that. It happens in movies, it happens in so many things. Whoever pays the bills is the one that's in charge and makes those big boy decisions, or has the biggest influence on those decisions that happen, right? Because, well, again, when somebody pays the bills, right, it makes the biggest difference. They become the big dog. Money talks and bullshit walks, and that's just the world that we live in, man. So the thing is this, what if they actually influenced the way the game has been developed? Like in terms of what they did with Modern Warfare, in terms of the safe spaces and all that kind of stuff. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because if you're going to protect the noobs and you really want to overdo it, you're going to implement a strict skill-based I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. A strict algorithm matchmaking system in pubs that is meant to mimic skill-based matchmaking but isn't skill-based matchmaking. It's actually more toxic because of reasons I already mentioned in this video not too long ago, a few minutes ago. But also the design decisions to give them even more protection and to frustrate the solo players more than anybody else. The solo players that actually are good and the ones that were not held by the hand, that got better the hard way. Or should I say the harder way, you know, compared to what it is now and to the things that are implemented from a design decision as well as a skill-based matchmaking, a pub matchmaking algorithm that is so toxic in the community today. And also, guys, I think there are more of us. I think there's more people that are passionate and hardcore about Call of Duty than there ever has been before. There are more and more good players on top of that, which makes it even worse. So, I mean, I honestly do not believe that the noobs are as big. And they're the majority of the community to this day, sure. But I think that number, the percentage of people that are absolute noobs at Call of Duty, is actually going down, because over the years, Call of Duty, even though it's not necessarily in its prime in terms of sales during the Modern Warfare 3 Black Ops 1 days or whatever, the Call of Duty community is a very large community, and a lot of people know Call of Duty at this point. And a lot of people on a yearly basis, and it's shoved into our faces whether you're a fan or not on a yearly basis. Even those that are not like the biggest Call of Duty fans are still decent at the game because they've played it and they were around when it was during its heyday or after that. So it is popular. There are a lot of people playing to this day. It's still the #1 game in console sales. So if you think about it, when you put everything together, it's like, well, the more people play something, the better they're going to get at it. So the thing is that I think there are more passionate people out there today, and I'm actually, and even though we're still not the majority, it's only going to be a temporary period. It's only going to be a matter of time before we become that majority. But the thing is that, yeah. So do you think that the design decisions are not Joe Seacock's fault, or do you think that it is his fault and it was 100% him and the team? And the skill-based matchmaking just made it worse. I mean, the algorithm just made it worse. I personally think that if the algorithm wasn't as strict as it is, I personally think that Modern Warfare would be a lot more playable and there would be a lot less complaining going on. But even with that being said, if a game is designed a certain way, a player can only do so much, let alone adding in an algorithm to top it all off as well. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for this one. So yeah, that explains a lot. Activision is in charge of skill-based matchmaking, and God knows, maybe even more than we think. And they're probably in charge of everything at this point, man. I mean, and they probably always have been. And less faith is being placed on the developers, and Activision is making the decisions because they want to do what they do. But anyway, guys, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think about this. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, let me know. And if you didn't, let me know what I can do to make my videos better. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.